Hello, good afternoon. This is day 390 of the occupation outside City Hall. And today I want to be covering the body camera meeting that took place yesterday. Just do a little recap of that. I just checked this audio, so it should be good, but if for some reason that there are problems throughout the video or problems that arise in any type of way, let me know, leave a comment, and I'll do what I can to fix it. But this was the third and the last meeting that covered body cameras, last community meeting that covered body cameras. This took place last night at the Empowering Word Christian Center. I believe that's what it was called. The Empowering Word Christian Center is when this took place. Is where this took place. And they did say some different things that they didn't say at the first meeting, but the things that they had said, it don't matter if they're not legally obligated to follow it, and it don't matter if they won't be met with any repercussions for not following it. And if any meeting would be described as, maybe contentious isn't the right word to use, but something, a synonym of that, this would be the meeting that would fit that description. And that is, by the very nature of these things, when you have people in a room who are genuinely cared, who genuinely care for the safety and the care of the community of Rockford, of the citizens of Rockford, and when you have people whose job it is to violently enforce laws, to violently uphold these racist institutions, to violently do some of these things, it is going to get contentious at some point. It's going to get, these things don't mix. Contrary to what they would have you believe, there is no bridging the gap. There is no closing the gap into building a better relationship with the police. It simply can't be done. It cannot be done, especially when it's people, as police officers working for these institutions whose very nature is violence, whose very nature necessitates and requires the use of force. There is no bridging the gap when one side has been openly at war with the other. But some things that were said in this meeting. Assistant Deputy Chief Scott Olsen. If you aren't familiar with Scott Olsen, he was I forget the exact title, lieutenant, but he oversaw the scope team. And if you aren't familiar with the scope team, give it a few days and you'll probably hear about a car chase that they were in. Give it a few days and you'll probably hear about an arrest where some type of use of force was used. Give it a couple of days and maybe you'll be reminded that it was the scope team that initiated the assault in Denzel Duvant. Maybe you'll realize it was Dominic McNeese was a scope team member when he shot Tyrus Jones. So Scott Olsen oversaw all these actions. And he was recently promoted, I believe they said 2 weeks ago, recently promoted to the title of Assistant Deputy Chief when he oversees the, what is it called? District 3. District 3 is his district. But I'm going to go over some things that were said. And the reason I think I'm going to go over some things that they said is when they don't do it, I want you to play this video back. When they don't do what they said during these meetings or what they said in the two previous meetings, I want you to play this video and think about how many other times that they have lied to you or how many other times that they have misled you. So they say this. Scott Olsen did most of the talking. Then Carla Red, the chief of the police department, also got in there and says a few things. But they say that it is meant to document any law enforcement activity. That's what they said. And they listed off some goals that they have that they think the body cameras will meet. And They said that special teams, such as the scope team, such as a SWAT team, such as a narcotics team, will be required to wear these body cameras and to have these body cameras be recorded in things such as executing search warrants or executing raids or anything of that nature. Another thing that I thought was interesting is police officers, they can review their own video. They made a point of saying that they cannot delete their own video, but they can review their own video and not anyone else. And a community member brought up the fact that it was a police officer who, I believe his last name was Hedges. His first name is escaping me. But some years ago, he worked for the Rockford Police Department, and a big thing that he liked to do was to save photos of crime scenes to his personal phone, to his personal laptop. I believe he had these photos in a file and under his computer as "I See Dead People." I believe that was the name of the file in his computer. And the question she raised was, can police officers save their video to their own phone like that? Can they save video to their own? Can they record their own body camera footage for their personal use? And the reason she brought that up because it was ruled that Hedges could not do that, and he would end up being fired for a short period of time before he would be brought back by the union, essentially facing no repercussions at all, working the same job he was before. So this question was raised of can police officers record footage of the body cameras, footage that came from the body cameras for their personal use? And Scott Olsen would answer, and he would say no, that is prohibited. But again, we have seen things like Hedges, and I'm sure that there are other cases and other incidences that haven't gotten that same publicity and that same news coverage, where a police officer will be fired, but he'll be hired back when the backlash or anything like that dies down. So essentially, there is no repercussions. What do it matter if this is what the policy is, this is what they're supposed to do, and if you don't do it, well, nothing really will happen to you? What do it matter? What does that make any difference what their policy is if they're not legally obligated to follow that policy, and if they won't be met with any repercussions for not following that policy? And Carla Red would say that there are certain tiers of videos. So while she is a chief, she will have access to all videos, I believe, is videos that she can set to where police officers won't have access to, where sergeants won't have access to, where anybody at the lieutenant or assistant deputy chief level would have access to. And another thing that was said was 2 videos per officer every month will be reviewed by a superior of some sort. 2 videos per officer. So each, I forget the exact number, the exact tally of how many police officers there actually are, but I believe it's somewhere in the around that 300 range, the 310 to 290 range, somewhere in there. So every one of those police officers will have 2 videos per month reviewed by a superior. And she said that would not include incidences of complaints of use of force. But Scott Olsen would kind of joke, and it'd be like an inside joke between the two of them, that they have only in this past year or so, calendar year, that there has only been complaints of use of force. That number of total complaints of use of force was in the single digits for the entire year. For the entire year, it was in single digits how many complaints were actually fired alleging use of force. I just want to get all the facts in this. And she said that the last thing that I'll cover that they had said was that is written in the state law that punishment for not having these body cameras be recorded, for the body camera being taken off, or for anything of that nature, The punishment, the reprimand would be anywhere from between in-house punishment, in-house punishment to up to termination. And she also said, my fault is one more thing. She also said, I raised the question of, well, why is it only police officers who can access these videos? Why don't you have any set protocol to releasing these videos to the public? Why is it that, especially when we're coming off a year in which it was Carla Red that was the one that reviewed every video from May 30th, and she said each and every action police officers took that night was justified. Each and every action police officers took that night was justifiable and in the police handbook. So why would that lead me to believe that having body cameras who are ultimately going to be reviewed by police officers who they themselves have carried out use of force, who have carried out shootings of their own, why would I be of the mindset that having body cameras would lead to any more type of transparency, lead to any more type of accountability, lead to any more type of substantial change of any nature, of any sort? Why would I be of that mindset coming off a year when on May 30th it was people who had their cars broken into by police officers? It was people who was beat and left in piles. Entire pepper spray bullets was shot into crowds. Entire communities, the whole neighborhood was filled with tear gas. And that was all justifiable. The problem is, my fault. The problem is not these issues aren't being recorded. These problems aren't that Tom McNamara doesn't know about these cases of force being used. It's not the problem that Carla Red don't know about these use of force being used. The problem is that nothing is being done about it. That's the problem. Not whether or not it's being recorded or not. The problem is nothing is being done about it. So giving this type of power to more police officers will lead to no substantial change. Again, that is just another step in the road. That is not even a break off to a new path. That doesn't lead to a new fork in the road to where it can lead to some type of progress. No, it's just another bump in the road. That same road that has been in place for decades. It's just another step in the process. And there was a bit of refuted information the first meeting that we had went to. Carla Red has said something about how if a video gets accidentally deleted, and she gave her this example that this must be her go-to example that she gives of a police officer accidentally recording the body camera and while they was using the bathroom or something. I don't know. It's like her go-to reasoning. But she had said something about that video can be reviewed and by superiors, and it can be deleted after 7 days. When I raised this question again at this meeting last night, she said no. She said she never had said that. She said that this is when the woman who be writing the press releases, I don't even care enough to know her name, said that the videos have to stay for at least 90 days. So I don't know if they was taking like some type of was that a Truman quote? If you can't beat them, confuse them tactic. But I'm not sure what. I didn't get no clear answer as to why she said that a video can be deleted if it's proven to be accidental after 7 days. Then at this meeting say that no video can be deleted at all until 90 days. And again, they talk about this is another example and another case of how they get people and how they confuse people into this illusion of progress, is where they will tell you everything that they're supposed to do, and a lot of people will take that at face value and won't look any deeper into that. But let me just give you an example of what they're supposed to do. On May 30th, there was only 10 people that was arrested. And I'm of the mindset that the state's attorney specifically dropped cases because they did not want to turn over the body camera footage. They did not fire the officer. They did not make the police officer go through some type of training or anything like that. All they did was say, well, we're not going to legally pursue this. We're not going to criminally pursue this case anymore. All because they did not want to release body camera footage. Is body camera footage... And this is another thing that they're saying recently, is that having the body cameras on makes both sides act better. And I feel like at best, that was... I feel like at best, Carla Red saying that, at best was in poor taste. At worst was malicious, because we're coming off... This is not a Winnebago County, it's not a Boone County thing, but this is close enough to where it do affect us, to where a DeKalb man was just shot and killed, and the police officers were wearing body cameras. They did not... whether the fact that police officers were wearing body cameras did not have any impact on whether that young man lived or not. Same thing goes for Faustin Wade-Tego. The fact that Winnebago County Sheriff deputies had body cameras on when they went in, invaded his home, and shot and killed him, that did not do anything for Faustin Wade-Tego. That did not weigh in as to whether Faustin Wade-Tego would live or not. Because again, it's not the issue of whether or not these things are being recorded. It's the issue of nothing is being done about them. That's the issue. These issues have been caught on film. And even before that, even before people had phones in their pocket 24/7, even before people had ready access to these things, people were telling you about it for decades. People was telling you about it, these situations of excessive force, these situations of these incidents that would manifest, these incidents of police terrorism that would manifest itself. People have been telling you about it, telling everybody about it, telling everybody who has worked up in that building about it for decades, and nothing has been done about it at all. Because the very nature of policing requires that use of force. The very nature of policing requires these shootings. It requires these incidences where people are tased unnecessarily, where people are beat with batons, where I'm reading about in these newspaper articles that it's somewhere between 1,500 to 2,000 incidents of use of force just by the Rockford Police Department alone in this city per year. 1,500 to 2,000 per year, every year in this city, somewhere in between there. And for Scott Olsen and Carla Red to have this little inside joke about there's only been a single digit amount of complaints from citizens of Rockford that allege some type of use of force. I think that stemmed from because we've gotten to a place as citizens of Rockford, as community members of Rockford, to where we have seen people file complaints. We've been through this already, and we've seen it don't matter how many, it didn't matter if overnight they had hundreds and hundreds of complaints. I still don't think that anything would really be done about them. I still don't think if they had an accurate number of cases of incidents of use of force, that number would be in the thousands, and still nothing would be done about it because they are not invested in any type of change. These things don't mix. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. These very things, they don't mix. Contrary to what people will believe. It's not no bridging the gap. It's not no mending the fences. Not more. Police officers don't belong in communities, because when they do, it manifests itself, it shows itself in Denzel Duvant's face looking like that. It manifests itself in 20, 30-minute police chases all across town that leaves innocent bystanders, innocent community members murdered as a result of these needless, these senseless, these reckless police chases. It manifests itself in these people and these names and these faces who have been killed by the police in Rockford and Winnebago County. And this is not, I'm sorry, this is maybe 14, 15 polls that are up, memorials that are up. That is maybe one fourth of the cases that have happened in the past 60 years. And when I tell you that nobody has been fired, when I tell you that nobody has been met with any repercussions, the only one that they try to fire, Oda Pool, end up getting a damn near $1 million settlement. $1 million for 6 cases of firing his gun. 6 different cases. He got almost as much money as Mark Anthony Barmore did. As Mark Anthony Barmore's family did, my fault. And some people say that they still haven't gotten that money. So these body cameras being rolled out, despite them trying to trick you, trying to tell the public that this will lead to better communication, better trust in the community, better trust in the everyday citizens. It will make the fact that police officers are wearing body cameras will somehow magically make both sides act better. Well, let me tell you something. The police officer who pepper sprayed that 12-year-old girl, I'm pretty sure he was wearing a body camera. The police officers who beat those women in the Joe Marino Park last year, they was wearing body cameras. The police officers who was slamming people on the ground, they had dash camera footage from their squad cars that was pulled up on the bridge. It's not a problem of these issues not being recorded. And especially, and if it really was, if that really was a problem, if that really was the issue, to where these issues just need to be recorded, these issues we need to see it, then hold on, my fault. It's a dang. If it wasn't really an issue of these problems, these things aren't being recorded, why would we give that video footage to the police officers who are using that force? Why would we give that footage to the same people who are abusing this city? Why would we give that footage to the same people who every year, 2 times per year, are shooting somebody right here in Rockford? Why would we give them that footage? Why would we give them the power of control with that footage? Why would there be no outlet? There is, as it currently exists right now, there is no outlet. There is zero outlet for a video to be turned over to the public. And now they'll try to say, and again, they'll try to trick you, and by saying this is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to. This is what they said. This came out their mouth. So if this is wrong, you need to address it with them. That they are legally required to turn over FOIA requests from the victim of an incident of force being used. And what we have seen in just this past year and a half is time and time again, FOIA requests denied. It don't matter how many. It didn't matter if it was. It don't matter the circumstances. It don't matter what they're supposed to do. They do whatever the fuck they want. It don't matter whether it's recorded or not. It don't. This is not a brand new. This is not a step towards a better path. This is another step in the same road. Another step in the same road that has left people in body bags. Last year, I really think that this was one of the biggest issues of last year. Maybe issues of last year, but one of the missteps that took place last year is last year when it was thousands of people in the streets, when it was hundreds of people in the streets. One of the chants that went around was body cams, not body bags. But what we have seen in the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies wearing body cameras, what we have seen with the DeKalb Police Department wearing body cameras, that those things are not equivalent to each other, that body cameras won't automatically be the end of in-custody deaths, won't automatically be the end of police shootings. True members of this community, people who have the best interests of the community in their mind, hold on, let me see. Let me think about how to properly say this. Let me get a water. Hold on, real quick. Time and time again, we have seen them say, this is what we're supposed to do. Time and time again, we have seen them say, this is what we're going to do. But when the rubber meets the road, when it's time to actually do it, they don't. No longer can... Hold on, I'm trying to make sure that I got all this information from this meeting rolled out. They also say, I just want to point this out too, that when the body camera is recorded, starts to record, it will go back 2 minutes in time, and there won't be no audio to it, but it will be recorded. There will have a video recording from 2 minutes back after the body camera is activated. But I think the biggest example of this is the biggest example that I can think of when it just goes to show that it doesn't matter what they're supposed to do is the justified ruling of the murder of Faustin Guaitigo. When Jay Hanley got up there and said that he did not read the Winnebago County Sheriff Deputy's policy on how they're supposed to handle those situations. He did not read it. He was not concerned about it. He did not care about whether or not the Winnebago County Sheriff Deputies who murdered Faustin Guaitigo, he was not concerned if leading up to the shooting, after the shooting, during the shooting, if they followed proper police procedure, proper police policy. That was not in his thought process at all. So what do it mean if the time it matters most, the time it matters the absolute most, these body cameras matter the absolute most in covering supposedly the time when it matters the absolute most, covering these in custody deaths, covering these shootings? What do it mean when the state's attorney, the person who is going to get up there and say whether or not there'll be charges filed against a cop? What do it mean when he say, well, I'm not concerned if they follow the policy or not? That just goes to show you that they don't care if these problems, if these issues, of these shootings, if these cases, they wouldn't care if... My fault, excuse me. That if every police officer that brutalized Denzel Duvant had a body camera on, that would not change how Denzel Duvant's face would look. And I promise you, I guarantee you, these body cameras are going to come up again when somebody's face looks like that. We're going to be asking again for the body camera footage should be released when somebody else face look like Denzel Duvant. We're still asking for the dash camera footage to be released of Tyrus Jones being shot. No more buying into these illusions of progress. It does not matter what they're supposed to do, because time and time again we have seen they have shown us that they can do whatever the fuck they want. Whatever they want. The reason that body cameras didn't have no impact on the life of Faustin Guaitigo, they didn't have no impact on this young man who was just killed out in DeKalb, is because police officers have seen time and time again that they can act with full impunity. Time and time again, from top down, from Carla Red shooting at two unarmed people for allegedly bumping her car, from Kurt Wisenhand killing somebody, from Mike Dalkey saying that talking about black women, alleging that black women have near superhuman strength from Mike Dalkey beating somebody while he was having a seizure. We have seen time and time again these police officers have acted with full impunity. So that's really the reason why this meeting, if any, was contentious at all between ourselves and the police. Because it's police officers whose job is to use force, whose job is to shoot somebody, whose job is to violently interact, violently fulfill these acts of terrorism in Rockford, Illinois. So I'm gonna end it. I don't think I said this in the beginning, but I'm gonna end it like this, the way I should have started it. Subscribe to our newsletter. Subscribe to our podcast, May 30th Alliance podcast. We're on Apple Music. We're on not my fault. We're not on Apple Music. You have to get Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on, I think, Google. I think we should be on all major podcast outlets. Subscribe to our newsletter. Subscribe to our podcast. Follow us on Twitter. We're gonna start to be doing spaces. We got a thread of each day on each day, a thread of each day of the occupation. This is day 390. We're 10 days away from 400. Probably gonna do a day 400 live, similar to the one that we did on day 300. I'm gonna start this reading here up in a second. It's been a very heavy task to read this book, but I do think it's important because, again, a people's history of the United States, is important to understand the root causes of some of these issues. And it's people out there who have benefited, who are currently benefiting from actions their ancestors took, from actions they slave owner ancestors took. So, People's History of the United States. I'll be reading. I believe we're on chapter 5 already. But day 300. Day 390. The struggle continues.